transition to flexible working webinar. So we're going to be talking about Microsoft Teams Voice. We will have a quick introduction to Microsoft Teams. I am assuming that a lot of people already know what Teams is and how to use it and how it's rolled out in their organization. If you don't, by all means, drop in some questions and answers at the end or contact myself directly, and we can set up a chat to discuss in more detail. But the kind of the primary aim of this webinar is to have a quick look at what's changed recently and how Microsoft Teams Voice can help you with that. So we will get cracking. Here's the agenda for what we're going to be running through. Just give the slide a minute to catch up. And there's the joys of working with a live event. There's the slide. Hopefully we don't have that issue with anymore. So yeah, we'll have a quick introduction to NGT Networks for those of you that don't know who we are. I'm then going to touch on what is the term that's been banded around at the moment, the new normal, and how we're all working at home, or some of us working at home, some of us are not. We will quickly go through what is Microsoft Teams. We'll then jump into what is Microsoft Teams Voice, and then we will look at the features and benefits of Microsoft Teams Voice and how it might differ from a normal phone system, and obviously how it can help you guys with the situations that we're all currently in and maybe in the future. And then obviously we'll open to questions and answers at the end. As we're going, you will see in the top right on your device, depending on what device you're on, that you can drop questions in. My colleague Vicky is going to field the questions. As and when I'm going through, if I'm talking too quick, which I do, pop something in there and I can kind of bring it up at the end. But the intention is that I will answer any questions at the end, or you can email or phone me, whichever's best for you. So quick introduction to me. For my sins, I've been in the telecoms industry for 15 years, and I've been working at NGT Networks for 4.5 years. Spent the last 6 months working with Leeds Beckett University on an MBA research project all about the UK telecoms industry. So this is just my way of saying, why should you listen to me? What do I know what I'm talking about? And the answer is quite a lot in the telecoms industry, not that anyone else needs to be that interested. Who are NGT Networks? So NGT Networks were founded in 1999, based in Wakefield, West Yorkshire. We've got offices in Manchester and London. We do business telephony systems. There's a full list of everything we do on the slide. I'm not going to turn into a sales pitch. Again, I'm just letting you know that we know what we're doing in the telecoms arena. Here's my favorite one. I should actually just mention that our company branding is, we like to say child's play, because we simplify communications and we do all the hard work and the thinking of all the boring stuff so that you don't have to. And our company images are all child's play images, so it's just there. I know a few people have questioned in the past why we've got pictures of kids on presentations, but that's all it is. It's a company branding, so nothing to worry about there. And we'll get cracking. So the new normal, hybrid working. What is it? What does hybrid working mean to you? How has your business changed in the last 6 months now? I mean, it's flown from March to now. Do you have a combination of people working at home? Do you have people fully working at home? I know there's lots of conversations with a lot of big corporate organizations now where they're actually saying that because expenses are down so much and travel's down so much that people are actually working more and happier. So they're wanting to do a lot more of it. So before March, this is what going to work looked like for me. And for a lot of us, it was driving to the office, sitting in traffic, finishing your day, normally after you plan to finish your day, sitting in some more traffic, getting home, getting back to life. And things have changed. This is kind of what it looks like for a lot of people now. So you've got offices still there, people in the office, but you have quite a lot of staff at home and they're all doing what they were doing. They're just doing it at home. So what challenges does this present to you as a business, to your employees, to your customers? One of the biggest ones is culture. So there has been a cultural shift. There's no more what you would call the water cooler moments. which I put in my notes, inverted commas. And it's knowledge disparation. It's sharing information that you know. So it's listening to someone else taking a phone call, and off the back of that phone call, you kind of learn how they deal with the problem, and you might learn something about something that's going on. So that's kind of, it's gone in the sense that you can't hear it and see it as you would. So the knowledge share isn't there. The socialization is the big one. The Friday beers. I'm sure you've all been in environments where we've certainly been doing virtual pub quizzes on a Friday evening. So everyone's sitting there on a webcam with a beer, which is different, but it's good, and it gets the team chatting, and we're all sort of talking about what's been going on and dropping in and out of work as you would do at a normal work event if you're ever unfortunate enough to end up sitting next to the boss who just wants to talk to you about work when you just want to drink the free beer. You don't have to do that when you're on a live webcam. You can just switch your webcam up and sit on mute and drink your beer. The next one is evolved working practices. I'm sure a lot of you have been in a situation that we've been in, and I know from my research that many people have, which is everything changed overnight. Digital transformation projects that you had in the pipeline for 12, 24 months were done in 24, 48 hours. You were ordering laptops, we were ordering headsets. I know we were all doing the same thing because every supplier was out of stock, so it certainly wasn't just us. And communicating with customers and suppliers has changed. So you're now doing primarily everything on the phone or on a video call, which is good and bad. So there's less travel, which means business costs are down. You've technically got more time, but you're getting people that are getting zoomed out, as they call it, which is the equivalent of back-to-back meetings. And I'm very guilty of this. You just book a meeting when the other one finishes. You don't give yourself 5 minutes to go and get a brew or take a breath. You literally back-to-back meetings. And what's important is that your management and leadership are sort of seeing this and making sure that people are being discussed in one-to-ones, that they need the time to reflect. And the driving home from a meeting or driving back to the office from a meeting was always a great time to think about that meeting and think about your actions. Granted, you couldn't do them while you were driving, but you could think about them and reflect on what you needed to do and what you may need to change. In the same sense, I get more work done because I don't have to drive anywhere. And I'm just kind of sitting here, not being bothered, ignoring phone calls if I want to ignore phone calls. Shouldn't say that because my directors are on the call, but it's true. You get away from the bias of people thinking you're available because they can physically see you, which is all well and good for me. But at the same time, you want to make sure that your teams are working, which is where reporting and skills and looking at things from your CRM system and your phone call stats is very important to see what people are up to if you're not sure what they're up to. The next one is for all of what I've just mentioned, is ensuring that you have the right tools for the job. So I'm sure everybody's accounts team had to move to paperless, which seemed to be the most fun department to move to paperless over the course of the initial lockdown, because everybody loves double entry and printing this out and 5 signatures on this and 4 signatures on this and passing it around and your accountant walking in to tell you what's going on. That all stopped. So we had to very quickly adapt and make sure that our stage system, for example, was upgraded and that we could all communicate effectively with each other. Thankfully for us, we had already rolled out instant messaging platforms, video platforms, well in advance of this happening. We just didn't use them as much as we now do. And the fun thing for us was setting up the VPN into the office. Nobody realizes how much they need all the shared drives in the office until you're not in the office and you need the shared drives, which moves me nicely on to right tools for the job of Microsoft Teams, which is what we're here to talk about. The bit I've just been through is just giving a bit of a background on why I'm talking about Teams, how Teams can help, how Microsoft Teams voice will help the business and certainly helps our business to kind of crack on with the day-to-day. So what is Microsoft Teams? The first answer is popular. November 2019. In fact, if we go to November 2018, I'm not sure many people in here would have known that much about Teams. It didn't really exist. There were a few different Microsoft programs that did a similar thing, Skype for Business being the big one. November 2019, 20 million daily active users. April, 75 million. I bet we all wish we had a product that was that popular in that short space amount of time. There are millions of people in the UK, all over the world, where when you switch on your PC, when you switch on your device, that little purple icon is there. Whether you use it or not, it is there. And that is a great target market. So Microsoft were pretty much ready on the get-go to take hold of the pandemic and how people want to communicate with each other. So what actually is it? So it's a Microsoft Unified Communications product, which I'm in the tech industry. We all have our jargon. I'm sure there are many people on the call that you have lots of jargon in your thing. So what is a Unified Communications product? Why am I reading that out 3 times and getting it wrong still? What do they do? So Unified Communications product is simply all your communications in one place. So you've got your audio, video, and web conferencing. You've got your file share and your calendar integration, your instant messaging and your GIFs. And I'm sure if you're an IT manager or an architect in the room, then you know all about the safe search and making sure that people are not using too many GIFs or using the GIFs that they shouldn't be using, and when to switch them off so that you can see what people are actually talking about. One of the great things is that it is integrated into all apps. So you can start a meeting from Outlook, you can start a meeting from Word, you can click on someone in our Microsoft Dynamics CRM system and see where they are and see if they're available and give them a call, which is all great. And it's an integrated call-in solution, which means I can click on anyone and say, let's have a chat, or drop a message and say, can I have a chat? Are you free? And share and collaborate on a document. So it's effectively everything you would do on a daily basis that involves communication, all chucked into one space. That's a Unified Communications product, which from all my research is where the entire industry is heading. So that's why we're quite hot on making sure that people know what it is, talking about it, and helping out where we can. So what is Microsoft Teams Voice then? So you might think, well, it sounds simple. All I do is click on my colleague and give them a call, which if you're wearing a headset like I am, absolutely, that is what you do. From being in the office, everybody's used to a phone on a desk, a phone system, dialing out, being able to phone someone on their mobile, taking calls from customers. And you might have been sat thinking over the last 6 months, I'm speaking to everyone internally on Microsoft Teams. Why can't I just speak to my customers on this? Why have I got a phone plugged in on my dining room table? Why have I got a soft phone that pops up and rings when I'm on a Teams call? And the two things don't talk to each other. Well, the answer is that you can actually do the thing within Microsoft Teams. Microsoft did launch this earlier in the year. Granted, they had a lot of teething issues because they're not a telecoms company. They just said, let's launch this. So yeah, the prime aim of the webinar is to talk through it. I say it's a prime aim. There's really not that much to go through. It's quite simple, which is a good thing about it. And the joke here is never work with animals or children or live software demonstrations. So in the words of Blue Peter, here is one I made earlier. I'm going to talk you through some screenshots of some calls that I made, some calls I transferred, some of the admin portals, just so you can get a flavor of what it is, what it does, how it works, and how it can help. And if any questions pop up while I'm going through this, or if you think, Andrew, you missed something, you're a telecoms company, you should be telling me about this, and you've actually just blazed through it because you understand it and we don't, just fire the questions in and we'll pick them up at the end. But the simple answer is, you can make and receive calls. So you can see there on, I've changed my number and put our main number so that no one has my DDI number, just in case there's any recruiters on there that want to attack me. And apologies if I offend any recruiters, but that's how it is. I blanked out all my information as well, which you never do on a live dem. Been quite sensible with it. So you can see on the right hand side, there's my call history. So it looks like phone. Looks like Teams normally looks. It's got my external calls on it. It reminds you of your own number, which is nice because I don't know if anyone else on the call ever leaves a voicemail and then at the end of it forgets what their number is and has to find a business card. Guilty of that one, even though I work in a telecoms company. So it's always there. and it's nice. You can set people at speed dials. You can put people into groups. The groups one's quite cool. So if we've got people in a group and we've got an incoming call, I can see who picked up the call. So I can see that the operations team are getting a call on their number. I know I've not picked it up. And then I can see, for example, that one of my colleagues has picked up the call and they've gone red to indicate that they're on the phone, which lets me know that the call's not been missed as well, which is nice. And you can create groups of people, so you can have all the different departments. I'll get into in a couple of slides' time how that's helpful. The presence thing is great. So I mentioned earlier on that it does link to other apps, and it actually follows the presence through. So the presence links to Outlook. It knows if you're in a meeting. It knows if you're on DND. You can set your settings so that you don't get any notifications when you're on DND. So you can have your quiet time that I talked about, where you need to focus and you need to not be in a meeting and not be constantly available. Set to DND and you're away. No one can speak to you. You can work on that important spreadsheet and you're off. Teams also allows you to click to dial. So anywhere in our CRM system, if I need to speak to a customer, or if any of the ops team or the sales team need to speak to a customer, click the number, Teams will dial it for you. It is as simple as that. It is the easiest phone system I've ever had to work with. And being in telecoms for so long, that's a nice thing. So that's kind of the crux of how it works. The other thing, I guess, is that it is an app, which means it works on your desktop, it works on your mobile phone, iOS, Android, iPads. It is optimized for each device. So you can, for example, if I'm out on the road, I can use my Teams to dial out with the office number. And then any calls that come to my landline will be presented on my phone. Modern car kits. Most people have got Apple Play or Android Auto, so it answers through there, provides all the details. You can dial through there. You get your Siri integration, your Google integration, which will force the dial on Teams. So it genuinely does mean you're available everywhere where you want to be available. So it's so easy to transfer calls. I don't know about anyone else that's listening, but anytime I've switched jobs, started a new job, had an infrastructure upgrade, I'm always the one that goes, how do I transfer this call? And that goes on for about 3 months because I just forget. In Teams, when you're in a call, you can see, you literally, as you do with anything in Teams, you click the 3 dots, the ellipsis, and transfer. It's literally transfer. Which button do I press on my phone? Not what shortcode is it? What do I have to do? You're literally clicking, can I transfer this call? And then you've got 2 options. You can either blind transfer the call, which is a bit rude, or you can click consult transfer, which then just means type in the name of the person in the organization. So no more remembering what's Nikki, so I put Nikki on there, which is my boss. What's Nikki's extension number? Because I don't know. No one knows what extension numbers are. I know I want to phone a person. I type in that person's name, and there we go. I have a quick chat with Nikki if she's available. It will tell me actually if she's in a meeting. So the presence again is filtering through at this point. So if Nikki's in a meeting, there's no point in me trying to transfer a call to her. I'll just tell the person on the phone that she's not there. If she's not, click consult, have a quick chat. If Nikki wants the call, then you just click send call, and call's gone. It's as simple as that. And for those of you that like working with parked calls, which is where those of you that don't know what a parked call is, that's me taking a call, for example, as a receptionist or anyone in an operations team, and saying, I'm just going to pop you on hold while I transfer you to someone else. I will then ring the other person and say, I've got so-and-so on park 1. So then they would just click on park call, pick up the park call they want, and they're off. It's just nice and straightforward. Setting up comprehensive auto attendance and call queues. So for those of you, again, that don't want the jargon, an auto attendant is press 1 for sales, 2 for accounts, 3 for operations. You literally go into an admin portal and set those up. So you've got a lot less reliance on your IT team, your telecoms team, having to rely on phoning someone like us with a support contract to say, can you set up a new user for me? It's as simple as that user's in Microsoft. You give them a phone system license and you're off, and you just literally add them to the call queue. So I've got an example on my screen of a call queue for, ignore what I called it because this is my test one, NGC queue support resource, all one word, which Clearly, we would never present to a user in an organization because it just looks confusing. But you would have support line, for example. You can, this is back to when I mentioned earlier about the groups. So I can have all my support team in a group in Teams, which for those of you that are using and understand Teams, means that they're already sharing files with each other and having conversations with each other. And all you're then doing is making them all get the same calls at the same time, and they can see who's picked up the call and when the calls are available. So you just set this up in the Teams admin portal. The caveat I need to put on this is that you do need experience with the Microsoft admin portal. So you could probably figure it out. I'm not the most technical person in the world, and I set ours up for our testing just because it was easier than getting the engineers to do it. So it's not that difficult. But yeah, it does require some knowledge of the admin portal. So in a nutshell, that was Teams Voice. It transfers calls, does what you need it to do. That's pretty much it. So what options are available? It's not as straightforward as you might think with it being Microsoft. If you've ever been on the Microsoft website and looked at licensing, it changes on a daily basis. There's different licenses in different places. Everything seems to be a different price depending on where you click in. So I will talk you through what's available. So the first option is you can do it direct with Microsoft. So you literally go on the Microsoft website, click on I want 5 business voice users. You assign your business voice users in your admin portal. You give them the correct licenses. You then have to add a bundle of minutes on. So your bundle of minutes it's very similar to the way a lot of people have got communications platforms set up at the moment. So you get X thousand UK landline minutes or UK mobile minutes. It's the same as buying a mobile phone contract. And they're attached to a user, and then they're then drawn down by that user as they go. So your traditional phone bill isn't quite there. And what happens with Microsoft when you've used all these minutes, you have to top it up with a credit card, which I'm not sure how anyone feels hearing that, but it just seems a bit odd. So let's say I'm in sales and I'm hammering the phone because we're having a good day, and I try to make a call and it tells me that we've got no credit and that we need to top up with a credit card. I then have to speak to my IT team. My IT team then have to speak to the accounts team to get the credit card, and then they can top up the minutes, and then I'm off again, which is not ideal. I'm sure Microsoft will learn from that, but at the moment, that's kind of where it is. You can bring your numbers in from Microsoft, into Microsoft, I should say, from an existing platform. And then it's just a case of setting things up in the Teams admin portal, and you kind of, away you go. Decide how you want it to work, roll it out in the business, and that's it. The other option that's available is Microsoft call it direct routing. So direct routing is kind of bring your own telecoms provider. So Microsoft have done all the hard work with the software. So they made Teams look like it is, they rolled it out, they've made it look exciting, and it just works in the way I've just shown. But then you have the telecoms expert on the back end. You have the telecoms network. So you have the network that you're used to using and have been used to using for a long time, which means your calls are routed anywhere in the world, and it just works. And you then are speaking to someone like NGC, where we are there to handhold you all the way and help you set everything up. We port your numbers in. So number porting, again, I'm using jargon. So number porting is taking your number from one telecoms provider to another telecoms provider. Isn't straightforward. Should be. It should be like mobile phones, where I say, I want to move from EE to O2. Here's my pack code, and we're off, and it happens in 2 days. Telecoms porting, especially for business, is a nightmare. There are so many networks involved. There is so much going on that if you don't have someone that knows what they're talking about in an operations team, it just gets a mess. Microsoft are not used to this yet. They're not a telecoms expert. They don't profess to be, although they are going around buying companies. So it's always nice to work with someone that knows what they're doing and can make sure that on the day that you're going to start using your system, your numbers are there, and that your numbers are not phoning an old phone system that doesn't exist anymore. So the direct routing also brings you enhanced calling features. So you get enhanced disaster recovery. So with Microsoft, as with anything really, backup is crucial. So if you're taking a phone call, if you're using the Microsoft plan, and Microsoft goes down, which does every now and again. They claim it never does, but it does. I think it's just when certain servers go down, they can pretend that it didn't happen and that they never missed their SLA for downtime. If that does happen, and that happens to a particular user on your account, you can easily forward the numbers using the direct routing. So you're actually working with a telecoms network that is basically, it's above Microsoft. So the call goes from the main network, hits the telecoms network. This is your inbound call. And then that goes, right, is Microsoft available? Microsoft should be available. That is my primary route. Yes, it is. Call goes through. If it's not available, you can send it to a mobile. You can have auto plans set up. There's an app for your phone that we would give you where you can invoke your disaster recovery. So you press a little button, whatever you set up to happen when your calls are not coming through, just means that's where it goes. And then on the back of that, you've got call stats. So you can see, you'll never miss a call effectively. If you do miss a call, because someone hasn't picked it up when they should, or they were on the phone, you can just go on the call stats, pick up that number from the portal and phone them back. And just, that's literally never missing a sales inquiry. You can get call whisper. So it's always been a strange one, but a lot of call centers and contact centers use this. So when you're receiving an inbound call, it's quite nice to know if you're sitting like I am with a headset on, just waiting for the next call to happen. It whispers in your ear when the phone's ringing. It tells you who it is, tells you what number it's come in on, tells you that it's the support line, for example. The enhanced calling features you get from direct routing do provide that for you. You can have network level call queuing, so you can set these call queues up in the network. You can set them up on Microsoft. You can have a combination of to do some disaster recovery or point it to one office or another office. And you're basically getting everything that you're used to from a traditional telephony solution, your phone system that you've had in the office, but you get to use the Microsoft app. It's kind of the best of both worlds. It's what I prefer using internally. So Microsoft Direct versus direct routing with NGC. I pretty much just talked through it. I've put my nice little scales there, which I do like. The more bullet points you put on one side, it auto tips to the other, which is quite clever. I like the new stuff in PowerPoint, but I'm a geek. So on the right hand side, I've already been through telecoms experts. It is important to work with someone that knows what they're talking about. There'll be people on the calls that are from the likes of banks, from law firms, solicitors. People come to you because they want you to tell them how it should be done, and they don't want to have to worry about it. Your job is to make sure they don't have to worry about it and let them crack on with the day job of running their business, whatever their business is. Telecoms is the same thing. You shouldn't have to go out there and figure out every product that's available. You should rely on someone that can be your trusted partner to basically tell you how it works and what's the best route for your business. We're not tied to one product. Microsoft Direct Routing is one of the products in the bag that we've got. There are many other different things. We don't make more profit on one than another, so we won't force you down one route. We will just talk to you about which one you want to work with. If you want quick and easy and you just want to deploy straight away, there's nothing wrong with the Microsoft one, but you will miss out on some benefits. A big benefit from direct routing from the traditional networks that you get that we would offer is fraud monitoring and protection. So it's actually called toll fraud, which is someone hacks your phone system. If you've been unfortunate enough to be a recipient of this, someone will hack your phone system at night. Normally when they know you're not there, they'll make £20,000 worth of calls to a premium rate number in Ghana. And unfortunately, you have to pay that bill. You might have cyber insurance that will cover it, but you have to pay that bill. We have to pay the bill. BT have to pay the bill to the network in Ghana. We're all in a bad situation. The fraud monitoring is quite active. There's an algorithm running on the networks that looks at the call traffic and says, that doesn't look right. 15 calls every 5 seconds to this number doesn't look right. And it chops it off. And you can set parameters around this. So we can say, we don't want your calls to go over £50 a day, for example. If you don't make many calls, that's fine. And it saves you 20 grand bill, which is always nice. And we'll bill you minutes monthly rather than asking you to top up on a credit card. So you'll get your normal bill that you pay on direct debit, and it just works in the way that you would expect a phone to work. I'm drawing to the end. I should have warned at the start that I wasn't going to spend all day boring you, but we were going to leave plenty of time for Q&A. If anybody is interested, we can run a 30-day free trial for up to 10 users. You will need the appropriate Microsoft licenses. Again, if you want to talk to us about that, we can discuss what licenses you need. It's fairly straightforward. It's just a case of setting them up, and then we can work with you on that. Just before I do wrap into Q&A, NGC are part of the Digital Alliance, can't even say it, where there's a few companies that we all work together. We're all experts in one field. For example, NGC Networks are telecoms providers. Our network services director, Nikki, is hosting an event where she's talking to IT leaders and sort of directors across various businesses to talk to them about their digital transformation over the past 6 months, how it's affected business, what the plans are for the future. If you are interested in Teams Voice, this is probably a good one because Will Pashley, who's on the list there, works for a company called Liberty Steel, who are a massive multinational organization, and they have rolled out Teams Voice and are across their entire international estate. So he will have a lot of sort of case study information on how it's worked for them, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and the whole thing will be open to questions and answers at the end. The other one that I'm going to chuck out there before we take some questions is a CRM partner that we work with. George will be going through everything that Dynamics CRM can do to help you with your growing business needs. And that was on there. That's Tuesday the 22nd, 2 till 3:30. And you'll be glad to know that is it for listening to me. And we can open up to questions. My colleague Vicky is going to field some questions across.
Yeah, hi Andrew. So the first one is, what is the advantage over other such apps like Google Meet or Zoom?
That is a good question. It's not for, I'm not a salesperson. It's not for me to say you should use one or the other. Different ones work for different businesses. So if you have been using Google for a long time and it works for you, I'm not here to tell you to use Microsoft Teams because Google works and Google will integrate into networks. Microsoft are quite quick to the marketplace with direct routing to get it to run side by side with telecoms companies. But I would put my own money on the fact that the others will catch up very quickly, and it will just come to a point where it's competing anyway. So it'll be the same conversation where you say, should I be using Google Sheets? Should I be using Excel? Use the one that works for you. Find a partner that can help you with it and crack on. I hope that answers the question, although I didn't give you any benefits of one versus the other because I'm not a Google expert. So hopefully that does, but yeah.
Okay, next one then from Chris Hibbert. Can Teams work with a landline system, or would we be best getting Teams handsets like tablet integration ones I have seen?
Good question. I did pop a slide in with a picture of a Teams handset on, but it doesn't seem to have come up, which is why I've missed it. So yes, there are Teams handsets. They're pretty good actually. I've got one on my desk in my office where I am, and it is effectively, in fact, I'm on the screen, so if anyone wants to see it, that's the handset. Switched off at the moment because you do need power for it and an Ethernet cable, which upstairs in my office I haven't got. So you've got a nice handset, as you would expect, with the buttons on there, and then you've effectively got an Android tablet on the right-hand side, which just runs Teams. So it's really cool. Everything that you would normally get on Teams is optimized to show on that screen, and you just click to dial. For me, there's zero benefit. It's just there for demonstration purposes because I've got a laptop and 3 screens that have Teams on, and I can click to call whoever I want. But yes, you can use handsets. You can also link up to your existing phone system. Speak to us about that separately if you would like to do that. So you can use, without boring people to death, there's something called a session border control, which effectively links in different technology devices and pulls them all together. So you can implement call recording if you need it. You can attach to already existing IP handsets in your organization. So from my Teams, for example, I could dial 123 and get the extension of someone that's on the physical phone system when I'm using Teams. So yeah, hopefully that answers that one.
Brilliant. Does Teams work with Avaya? i.e., if you pick up the phone using Avaya, will Teams show you're on a call?
Does Teams? Well, I work for a telecoms company that sells Avaya, and I shouldn't say that Avaya doesn't link to Teams, but it doesn't link in that way. It links in the way I've just explained, which is if I dial an extension, I can hit an extension internally on Avaya. If I make a call outwards, I can make Teams use the Avaya telephone system or any other telephone system you got that is compatible. I can make that phone system use, I can make Teams use that phone system to make the call. The presence doesn't feed between them, which in my eyes is a pain in the ass. But I'm sure it's something that, given what Avaya are spending all the money on software at the moment, they are going to be quick to rectify because they will not want to lose any market share on this. So the question is, the answer is, yes, you can link them, but the presence isn't there.
Okay. Next question from James. Would this solution remove the need for our office handsets / phones? So the guys are office-based and on desktops. Would they have to use their mobiles and the app?
They wouldn't. It's entirely up to you. So in our office before lockdown, I canned the desk phone 2 years ago, much to the dismay of the directors of the company, because we're a telecoms company, because there's no benefit for me. I'd rather have space on my desk and use an earpiece. As I've shown, there is a handset. There are many handsets that work with it, so you can use the handset. You literally plug it in, sign into your Microsoft account, it works. So you can do it anywhere. You can use your mobile, you can use your headset. So the answer is whatever works. Different flavors for different people. So you could roll out an organization where you've got people like me that go, no, I don't want to use that, I want to use a headset. And then you might have, sorry, I keep picking on accountants. Sorry to any accountants on the call. You might have accountants that are used to a phone and want to use a phone. So yes, you put a phone in for them, plug it in, put it into your LAN infrastructure, sign it in, and they're using a phone. So it's giving people what they want, I guess, and however you want to run your organization. So yes, you can. Just do whatever works.
Okay. And then final question I've got on here is from Pete Mitchell. Can you click to call from any CRM system?
Depends on what's active in your CRM system, Pete. Ours is Microsoft, so obviously Microsoft integrates to Microsoft, so I can click to dial. If your phone numbers in your CRM system are clickable hyperlinks generally, then that CRM system will go out to ask what it wants to call with. So it's probably up to your CRM provider to tell you how exactly it would work. But generally, when you're working with them, the newer ones all have an option where they all make phone numbers clickable. So you click on them, and then there's some settings in the back end normally where you say, I want you to go out and dial with the Avaya. I want you to go out and dial with the CRM system, and then all the users have the same thing. So ours is set up, or mine's certainly set up, so it dials using Teams. So I click a number, it dials it using Teams because it knows that that's what I've set in the config. So yes is the answer. Speak to your CRM partner or get them to speak to us, and we can have a conversation about it.
Brilliant. That's all the questions, Andrew, that are on there at the moment.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for your time. I hope I've not bored you to death too much. All my contact details are on the screen. If you've got any questions, or if you think I missed something and you haven't asked the question, then by all means, drop me an email, give me a call, book me on LinkedIn. Thank you for your time, and I hope it's been worthwhile.